Welcome to the link this evening, and we're talking oil. It's the next phase of this country's economy, and you want to be part of it. We're going to find out how you, even if you're not a very big company, can be part of the oil future of Uganda and how you can gain in just a moment. Welcome back, and my guest tonight is Miss Betty Namubiru, who is the National Content Manager, Petroleum Authority of Uganda. Welcome, Betty.
Thank you very much.
Let's start quickly because this show tends to run very fast before we exhaust all the questions. There is a registry which is called a talent registry. Tell me about it and how I can, or viewers can gain from being on that registry.
Thank you very much. The Petroleum Authority of Uganda was established in 2016, and it has the responsibility of regulating and monitoring petroleum activities in the country. And one of the cardinal roles of this institution is to ensure that Ugandans benefit from the oil and gas sector activities. So one of the measures to ensure that Ugandans participate is the establishment of the National Oil and Gas Talent Register. This is also required by law, and what this means is for us to put up a list of all the potential and willing Ugandans to supply the oil and gas sector. So this list is online. It can be accessed from our website, www.pau.go.ug. And it's just a matter of an individual with the capacity, with the credentials required to visit the website. You give us your biodata, you give us your profile, your education background, the credentials that I talked about, and your previous experience. Where have you worked before? What kind of experience do you have? Which profession are you? So that is one side of the system. The other side of the system is for the employers. The employers are also integrated in this system because the main objective, the employers, we are now talking about the licensed oil companies, the contractors and their contractors. And the main reason we bring them into this system on the other side of the system is for them to be able to access this talent. You've registered yourself, you're a journalist, you acquired this these education credentials, and you have this experience. So the employer on the other side will look out for you. So the main objective here is to ensure that you're visible. We profile you through this system, and the employer is able to pick you up for possible employment.
Supposing I have nothing to do with oil now, should I also apply?
Well, that's a good question, because oil and gas doesn't stand alone. We have what we call the direct jobs, where you get employed to work in an oil company office, but we also have induced and indirect services. For example, communication is required for oil and gas, transportation is required, catering, accommodation services are required. So if you put yourself, if you register yourself on this system, on the National Oil and Gas Talent Register, and there is an employer who is a contractor or a subcontractor of an oil company, they will require people to help them with the rest of the services. Like they will need PR officers, they will need drivers, they will need all these other, portfolios around. So it's important for us to have the professional in oil and gas, that is talking about the petroleum engineers and the like, register on this list. But it's also equally important that we have these other support that do not specifically relate to oil and gas, but are relevant.
But to clarify, somebody might be they are thinking, okay, I might put my name on that list, but then I see another advertising by Total or Sinok or Talo in the newspapers. So what's the use of me going to the portal?
That's interesting, because the law requires that the sourcing is done publicly. when you're looking out for people to recruit, you're supposed to publicize. And we are not saying that by putting up this system, we will not require the companies to publicize in the papers. But the aspect of being able to find this talent or resources in one database is some advantage that comes with this system. And for you to be sourced out, because we will require that the companies put both these positions in the newspapers, but also post them on the system. And the system is very modern in such a way that once there is a job that is posted on the system, you'll be able to receive a notification on your mobile phone or the email that you serve on the system, notifying you that this and this position is up for you to be able. So whereas one will be running around looking for newspapers, going to websites, the moment you get yourself registered here, you'll be receiving a prompt whenever there is any such opportunity.
Okay.
Yeah.
You might have taken a look. What gives me an edge? There are many people who are going to put their names in the system. What should give me an edge?
Well,
just experience?
I would say, like you're saying, experience. And also the fact that you're there. You may not have an opportunity in the first running, but different employers want different things. You might find someone wanting a journalist who has 2 years experience, then another wanting one with 8 years experience. So it all depends. I cannot say that it is majorly experience, because also to let you know, this system is going to register people with basic skills. Talk about drivers, talk about even the casual workers, because many of these will be required. So it is wide in terms of coverage of scope of the skill sets. Yes.
Okay, that is the talent register. There is another register or database, the supplier database.
Yes.
So now, that one is for who?
Okay, just like the name goes, the National Supplier Database, it is for suppliers. But the same law that I talked about of 2013, the petroleum law that establishes the Petroleum Authority, requires Petroleum Authority to establish this National Supplier Database. And this is also another register or a list of the companies that have potential but are also willing to supply the sector. This one is a strict requirement. For any company to supply the sector, you must be registered on this National Supplier Database. So it is the beginning point for any Ugandan who wishes to supply the petroleum sector at whatever level.
So the sector, let me touch just a bit. The sector, that means the players must come to the database to choose. They can't go outside the database.
Exactly, exactly, in the procurement process. This has so many benefits, one of them being creating transparency, because Petroleum Authority on behalf of government is managing and is running this system. The suppliers on the other side are supposed to source for the companies. So in this way, if every company is registered on the list, they'll be able to justify. And it is also a strict requirement. For you to get any contract in the sector, you should have been registered on the National Supplier Database. But also important to note is that you must be able to go into the competition. Registration on the National Supplier Database does not give you a direct ticket. It's not enough. You need to take it a notch further and apply whenever there is a call for contracts. And
so I don't just come and chill, stay there. I must participate
you
in the
apply
competition.
and then you go into the competition. You expect whenever they announce, we put these opportunities on our website. They are also, the companies also post in the newspapers. So you register to be accepted to transact business. Then you look out for the opportunities and engage in a competitive process.
There's this element, Betty, of, you know, I need to be certified in a certain way to be able to supply oil companies. Doesn't that edge me out, for instance? How do I get certified, or does it matter for me?
Well, it depends on the service that you're providing. And I can tell you that Ugandan companies that have been following the events in the oil and gas sector, have taken the trouble to acquire this certification.
Okay.
To be very frank, the certification is not something that you can acquire overnight, but what we encourage the Ugandan companies to do is to engage in joint ventures with the international companies.
Okay.
The national supplier database I talked about has companies that are from within the country and outside the country, for the other reason that you have to be registered before you supply. So this also provides an opportunity for Ugandan companies to identify potential partners. You are a company involved in civil works, so you go to the list, you identify those foreign companies that have experience and are also certified to the level required.
Okay.
You go into joint venture, you work together. We have seen companies come in working and over time they have acquired certification. And there are some services that do not require all that complicated certification as it goes.
Because
but for the very specialized,
you know.
yeah, true, because for you to have a driver's license may not be enough. The companies, the investors need to have the confidence in you. So an extra requirement of, say, defensive driving, it could be the kind of certification that could be classified as the certification that is required.
Okay.
But indeed, between me and you, you want a driver who has defensive driving as a certification for you to be confident. So the aspect of certification, yes, is required, but it's being acquired gradually.
Okay.
Yes.
In a minute, Betty, we're winding up. What are the things to supply? Okay, I know this. You've talked about driving. You've talked about, but people are thinking it's still oil. We need to break down this.
Yep.
What are the things? What things are there to supply? If I am wanting to come on board.
Okay, we have quite a number of projects. Just very briefly to highlight the projects. We have what we call upstream projects, where we do the exploration, development, and production. We have construction works coming up for the refinery in the midstream. We have the export pipeline. We have well pads that are going to be constructed. All these will require from engineering services to be able to design these facilities, to be able to construct. In the process of construction, we'll require to transport the people that are going to construct. We'll require the food that these people will eat. These people will require somewhere to sleep. They'll require the office stationery to run them. So in addition to the high-end services that are required that are highly technical, there are even other support services, like I've mentioned, waste management. Exactly, waste management, things to do with human resource management, those big chunks of people that will need to be, managed by a certain company. Quite a number, even the supply of trucks, supply of cars. All those are some of the things that will be required to be supplied. Even
as we wind up, even counseling. And
For
I'll
sure.
tell you, people get traumatized doing these jobs and they need support, psychosocial support.
That is for sure. Think about any service. Think about any service. It is required because people will be there deployed. Health services, medical services, insurance. All these are going to be required because you're talking about people, you're talking about doing work on a daily basis.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Betty Namubiru from the Petroleum Authority of Uganda, the National Content Manager. I hope you have heard of the opportunities. Now you need to take a step and find those registers. A talent register and the supplier database. Those are the first steps to help yourself tap into the oil sector, even as simple as you might think you are. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. That was The Link.